everybody, and welcome to episode number 8 of Beacon 147. My name is Thomas, and joining me tonight we have...
Bobby, a.k.a. Gradius. What's going on, guys?
Alright, so it's been about 2 weeks since our last show, and during that time we hit the $15 million threshold. And with that, we got some unlocks. We got the escort carrier, which there's oft discussed, but very little information about. So I'm assuming it's going to be
I want to know
some sort of a carrier that does some sort of an escort-y thing.
Yes, a carrier that does escorts, an escort carrier.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll see.
I bet that thing is. I bet that is like a. I don't know. Do you think it's bigger than the Idris? It has to be. Idris is a Corvette.
No, you think?
I don't know. I mean, if it's an escort carrier, it sounds like it's gonna house fighters. You would think. I mean, that's what a carrier does, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we will have to wait and see as information becomes available.
Yeah. Sad panda.
Yeah, and we're also going to get, every backer will get a free digital 42-page upgrade handbook manual that will cover customizing and overclocking / docking, as some people would read that, your ship systems.
I just woke up. Leave me alone.
So, these perks, they're starting to come in, as a lot quicker than what we were used to. I mean, there for a while, we would have to wait. I know back in May we were kept waiting for that $10 million threshold, and now It seems like in between every episode we're getting another million, 2 or 3. So it's exciting to see. At the $16 million mark, we're going to get an arena mode. It's not the training sim, which we already have in our hangars. This is going to be much bigger. And basically what this is going to be is kind of a PvP system, but there'll be like an entry fee, so you'll throw some credits down and do some PvP stuff. You'll find out who the best dogfighter is and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited.
You'll find out who to target relentlessly when the game comes out.
Yeah. I'm very excited for this. I mean, I love the concept of game sanctioned these events. You see it. We see it a lot in some of the more competitive PvP games. I know in previous guilds that we've done things similar to this. Where everyone's thrown in a couple credits or some gold or plat, whatever, and did a little PvP, little pet battles or whatever it happened to be, companion fights in SWTOR. To see this actually being handled by the game itself and not just by player word, I think it's going to make it a little bit more exciting and also open it up to a larger audience. It takes out that...
Star Citizen Esports? What?
Yeah, but I mean, not only that. I mean, it's there's that trust issue that comes into play when you're doing PvP events. So if you're not doing an officially sanctioned event, there's always that risk of someone taking your money and running. There's going to be an entry fee, and I'm going to take my cut out of that, and yeah. So this is going to be...
Oh, you won? Here is 1 credit. Congratulations.
You won your entry fee back. So I mean, that's pretty cool stuff. I'm excited to see that. We're also going to get a laser pistol for our own personal use in game. So I'm assuming when we are off of our ships running around planet side, or maybe when we're doing EVA type work, we will have our laser pistol for defense. So that's coming to us at the $16 million mark.
You know what I love watching is, like, I'll go to the RSI website and just look at the graph for the day and see, oh, look, some $40,000 today, $80,000 today. It's just watching that number go up is really awesome. And I know at the rate we're going, this is going to be fully funded, because what's the total, like 22, 24 million?
Yeah, I think it's like the gold mark when they hit that.
Yeah, that means, hey, we're fully funded for the rest of the project, and the more the merrier. But at this rate, we're going to be hitting that pretty soon. I mean, we're going like $1 million a month at this point, something like that. So
yeah, I think a little bit higher than that, or roughly $1 million. So it's pretty cool. At the $17 million mark, We're going to get a ship upgrade package for every pledger who has pledged up to that point. So it's only going to be if you pledged, from $0 to, I'm assuming, 15.99, 9999, however many nines there are. We're going
Repeating,
to get,
of course.
yeah, continuously. We're going to get a engine modifier, so we'll get a nice little pack that has, something to make our engines a little bigger, faster, stronger. So
we'll probably just duct tape some of those Kerbal Space Program boosters to our engines and see how it goes.
Don't get me started on Kerbal Space Program. That's my new passion. I've spent so much time playing that game. I think I crossed the 100-hour threshold, and I've only had the game for probably a month. I mean, it's ridiculous how much I've been playing that
many
game.
Kerbals have died.
Surprisingly,
putting your surviving Kerbals into space.
Fewer than you think. I've gotten pretty good. Once you get the mechanics of it, it doesn't get so bad. But we're also going to get, at that point, a new flyable ship, which is going to be the battlecruiser. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing that we're getting bigger ships. I mean, I love these 1-2-seaters for dogfights or, some basic escort missions or get from A to B. But I like the idea of having, the Connie and the Idris, all these other ships. You have that elevated crew. I mean, 2's nice, 3's nice, 4's nice, but I like seeing where you can have a good chunk of your guild or squadron or corporation, whatever you want to call it, flying with you. And I think it's going to be pretty exciting. So I'm hoping to see some more larger ships available. And a very
Origin Jumpworks battlecruiser, yours today for $3,000.
Yeah, so we've seen so far we've got the escort cruiser, which I'm assuming is holding more than 4 people. We've got our Idris Corvette Peacekeeper Edition, or the Navy version, if you will, the military version of that, and we have the battlecruiser, which is going to be another military style ship.
They did say that there's going to be a destroyer, right? And that's going to be like the largest player-owned, like you can buy it or build it or whatever in the game, but they haven't released anything about that, right?
Well, the largest is going to be the Bengal class carrier. So
but there's only one of those in the game or something like that at a time, right? There's not. You can't build or own one of those. I don't think.
Yes, you can. Yes.
Really?
Yes, you can't pledge for it, but you can. You can acquire it in game. Yes.
Interesting.
So, what I guess where that's kind of leaving me for a little bit of discussion is, so we have battleships. We have, what we need a larger class. I mean, maybe the Idris Peacekeeper version is going to be this ship, but I kind of want. But with it being a Corvette, it's going to be kind of slow. I'm kind of wanting a larger ship that's just designed to be a people mover. Get them from A to B relatively quickly.
You could throw a bunch of people and cram them into those pods on the Star Fair.
It's true. I mean, just the idea of we don't know exactly how easy or difficult it is going to be to get large quantities of people from one portion of space to another portion of space. And if you're wanting to organize a guild event, or a fleet event, squadron event, how easy or how difficult is it going to be to get all of those people from A to B? Because you essentially may want to start from one area. So I'm wondering if any of these ships are going to kind of fulfill that role of people moving.
Well, that's a good question, because when we were at the Austin studios and we were doing at the 24-hour live stream thing or whatever, that's one thing that I asked Rob Irving about was, okay, so let's say I'm based out of Terra, and I want to move all of my stuff to this other system. So do I have to fly one ship there and have a buddy pilot me, or just hop on my buddy ship to go back to get my other ship to move it there? Yikes, So I don't know. Maybe it would be a good idea to have a ship that can carry a bunch of people on it. Oh, hey, you're moving all your stuff over there? I'll help you with that. And right. You just move people around.
Yeah, so I want to see kind of more of the piece,
like a space bus.
Well, I mean, right now most of the ships are military based at this level, and we've seen in the smaller ships that there are a lot of variants. We've got a high speed variant, we've got a cargo variant. we've got a military variant, we've got options at this level, exploration variants, but we don't really have that at the larger ship level. So I'm hoping that instead of it just constantly being military style ship after military style ship, we get the space party bus. We get something.
Oh my gosh, they should totally make one and then call it a Greyhound. That needs to happen. That has to happen.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
The Origin Jump Works Greyhound.
Yeah,
People mover.
Yeah, I don't know, just the VW bus, something. I want to see kind of that. I want to see ship movers as well. For those people that do have a lot of personal ships, to get them from A to B. We've got heavier cargo vessels, and what the Starfarer is going to be, that cargo ship. But how if
I don't think those pods are big enough to hold a ship. Well, maybe a small ship. But...
Yeah, so if I want to move, my fleet of 300s and Avengers and Auroras, how am I going to do that? A game like Eve, you kind of have those disposable shuttles, which are so relatively inexpensive. You hop in your ship, you move it somewhere, you buy a shuttle, you fly over, pick up your ship, burn the shuttle and fly back. So,
or you have a huge cargo ship that you throw all of your stuff in.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of what I think we need. It'd be kind of nice, and make it like a non-military. It's just hey guys, I'm moving a whole bunch of stuff. I'm totally vulnerable.
Yeah, where you have to have a wing of fighters around you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting to see some of that, and I'm hoping that they bring that in. So
yeah.
Let's kind of transition into some of the fan-made content. This has been out for a while, and Grady has just kind of hopped on board recently and has actually listened to more of it than I have. I've seen the project out there. I just haven't dedicated too much time to it. Why don't you talk a little bit about the Unofficial soundtrack?
Yeah, so earlier this year, I believe it was earlier this year, some of the guys who composed the Unofficial soundtrack for the game, their idea was, hey, we're going to try to put together a soundtrack for Star Citizen that rivals the official version. And man, let me tell you, I've listened to it several times, and I'm pretty much in love with it. We've linked to it in our Twitch chat here, and we're also going to link to it on our YouTube upload. But I was able to get a hold of one of the composers. I guess I'm going to tell you who the composers are. One of them is Caden Welburn, Nicholas Fitzgerald, Fernando Pepe, and Yuchin Tian. And
apologize for any mispronunciations of names.
Yes, most definitely. Yes, I probably butchered all of them, but they basically put their heads together and compiled this group of songs, and some of it's battle music, some of it's some of the cinematic trailer type of music, and some of it's club music for some of those clubs when you're landed on a planet or whatever. And the music is actually pretty darn good, and it's a good. Well, a lot of it's the more spatial. What are they? I mean, there's a new genre. I mean, there's a new genre every day for music, but it's more like
an ambience type, just background.
Yeah, a lot of it's spatial ambience, but it's mixed with like cinematics, with like a lot of brass, trumpets and epic, movie trailer type of music. And the club stuff is electronic, dance, not necessarily trance, but just a dancey kind of music.
Does it sound consistent, or does it sound like separate composers? Is it one? I mean, could you listen to the entire piece of work, and know that it's roughly from the same game or from the same album?
Yeah,
or is it very
all
broken?
A lot of it sounds similar in style. A lot of the same instruments, I guess, that are used in the music. So, if you just started track one and hit play and go, I mean, you can tell, okay, we're kind of out of the cinematic stuff, and now we're more into the battle, the bigger drums and stuff like that, and then it kind of moves on to the club type of stuff. You can tell when it makes those transitions, but when it's in hey, here's the first 8 songs or whatever, and it's all the cinematic stuff or the game type of music, you can kind of tell a lot of those, it sounds to me like they really work together with the style of the music, because it all sounds like they use the same type of instruments and stuff like that. So I don't know. I've listened to the whole thing probably 3 or 4 times, and I I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, one of the, and as you know, I'm a pretty big fan of the series, but one of the things about Mass Effect 1 and 2 that they were praised on was that the soundtrack was very fitting, and it had, you know, the big orchestral pieces, and it also had a very ultra realistic or ultra modern, ultra futuristic sound to it, where it sounded like it was a soundtrack that fit the time period. Does the soundtrack fit the time period of the game, or does it kind of follow more the route that, let's say, Mass Effect 3 took, where it was more of a present day, you know, more instruments, less synthesizers? What is it? Is it a highly synth sound? Is it?
A lot of it is. Yeah, a lot of it is. It is the the futuristic stuff that you would hear in a game that's set in the future. Lots of synth, lots of electronic instruments and sounds, but they integrate it with some of the trumpets and the horns and the drums for the more actiony sequences or whatever. But it is definitely a futuristic sounding soundtrack.
Excellent. You also mentioned a project about where a Star Citizen audio drama.
Yes, I was looking through the fan art and fan fiction section of the forums, and a gentleman named X, or Deacon X, is kind of in his preparation phase of putting together an audio drama, much like the radio dramas of the past, and he's looking for voice actors. So if you think you have a unique or creative ability with to use your voice, you might contact this guy. We'll make sure to put a link on the YouTube page for the voice submission. He's got an email address there. I'll read it out to you. It's noadoru@gmail.com. So noadoru@gmail.com, and you can kind of submit snip little clips of your voice stuff there, and he'll take a look at it and see how it goes, I guess. I have no idea what it's actually going to be, but it's he's looking for voices for all kinds of roles, big and small, throughout the whole thing. So it sounds like it'd be a pretty fun thing to participate in.
Yeah, and staying in that kind of in the fan made genre of contents, recently on the RSI website, they posted some kind of some of the fan-made ships, and I want to take a minute to show those to you guys, some of the ones that they highlighted. The first one, I'm going to call it the... I'm going to call it the Goldfish. I think is probably the safest thing I can refer to that as. It's very, it's very almost amphibious, or aquatic looking. It's got smooth...
It is, actually, or maybe like almost like a remote control airplane type of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's pretty cool. It reminds me a lot of the Avenger, the pledge ship, the Avenger, almost as if it was kind of squished maybe a little bit, but it's about
and made
that same
for
size.
Underwater
or her pleasure.
Whoa.
So, I mean, these are really cool and unique designs. The second one is by far my personal favorite. This is one that I would pay for. This is unreal. It's got.
It comes equipped with an R2-D2 astromech droid.
I think that's the gunner cockpit.
I see.
Yeah, but it kind of is very reminiscent of the Connie and the Idris. It's got that same, the same angular lines, the kind of, almost stacked look to it. Lots of weapon ports, engines. It's a very cool design.
Yeah, actually,
by far my
looking
favorite.
looking at the scale, it actually looks like a pretty big ship.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's at least a 2 to 3 person ship, and it looks like it can definitely get the job done in probably a combat situation. I mean, looking at the nacelles, looks like it's got some guns, so it's pretty cool. The next one, the Travel Master, the Space Winnebago. If you,
I want one. I want it now. I want to start the game playing with that ship.
At first I didn't fully appreciate it. I kind of dismissed it, but the more I kind of think about it, there needs to be these style of ships.
There you have it. There's your people mover right there, and they can move people in comfort. Like, oh, here, there's a full kitchen in the back. You can scramble up some eggs while we're flying to the other system.
Yeah, or maybe like a taxi cab, and something along those lines. I didn't appreciate it until I kind of thought about it, and then saw the Travel Master tag on it, and I'm like, yeah, I think I can appreciate this a little bit more.
The Space Winnebago.
And the final one that they mentioned is very Millennium Falcon-esque. I mean, it's essentially the saucer section of the Millennium Falcon, at least from the...
Or it kind of looks like, what was his name? Dash Rendar from Shadows of the Empire, his ship. I can't remember what the heck the name of it is. It's like a crunched up Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty cool to see the fans embracing the game so much that they're spending their time. I mean, anybody who's worked in and I believe this is called the Pegasus, that ship there, based on the nameplate on it. But anyone who spends any amount of time in 3D modeling software knows that that's by no means an easy accomplishment.
Oh my gosh, no.
I mean, so it's awesome.
All the little tubes and wires and plates. Oh gosh.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see the community picking up the flag there and making their own thing. Keeping in line with the fan-made content, we can't forget our fellow podcaster at large, Dr. Hawk. Check him out on the tubes of.
He's a pretty cool guy.
Very prolific, puts a lot of stuff out there very regularly. So I was just search for Dr. Hawk on the YouTube. Great guy. We met him at the live stream, and very cool. Crazy Canadian for sure. But of course, sticking on that, that the popular names that you might be a little bit more familiar with if you're a fan of Spaceman's Parking Lot, aka Wingman's Hangar. We can't not mention Legante and Ken Shadow.
Yep.
So if you're a fan of them or want to see some more of the community members putting out some good content, they're featured almost every week. They do back and forth videos available on Wingman's Hangar / Spaceman's Parking Lot. One of the other things that got mentioned that we saw with the Reddit community is the new subreddit that was set up for Star Citizen guilds. And I'll kind of pull that up here so you guys can see that as well. Probably helps if I pull up the right tab. But yeah, there's one of the community members in Reddit put up a new subreddit for tracking Star Citizen guilds. Now we know that we have this already in the forums, but this is just kind of another place, and it's a little bit to me. I love the new forums. I think they're awesome, but because there's so many people on that RSI community site, it gets buried so quickly. So this is a little bit more stagnant, and it kind of lets you know, based on how it's set up, you kind of know what the guilds are standing for, and takes you right to wherever you're going. So I just wanted to mention that. So
I do kind of like it with it being on Reddit. You can upvote and upvote the guild that maybe you're a part of to kind of keep it up a little bit top. Hey, this is a more popular thing. So take a look at it,
Yeah, you might want to check out the Fold in there. Just putting that out there.
Those guys sound like a great bunch of guys.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about this on our last episode, but this was not available during our last episode, so I think it is worth mentioning. There's a limited edition perk that you can now purchase on the website. It is the Gamescom 2943 Hangar Trophy / Spaceship Skin model. As we know, with a community-funded game, the costs of travel and things like that aren't built into the game's marketing budget. So they don't have somebody cutting them a check just for marketing and travel expenses. So now you can drop $5 and help cover the cost of the event. They have to pay to rent out the facility and to travel there. So for $5, you can support it. Get
You can
yourself
pay
a Hangar trophy.
1/200th of someone's tickets to Gamescom.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, this doesn't include a skin. I was thinking of the Show Me Your Money one. This one is just a limited edition Hangar trophy. And this is once the
Still pretty cool.
Once the event is over, they'll be gone. So for those of you that are kind of collectors of the rare, this is something to look for as well. And the one I was thinking of, this has been out for a while, but might have missed it, is the Show Me Your Money. That one is the $5 one that gets you a skin for your ship. So just wanted to mention that before, since I had mentioned a skin.
Take my money.
Yeah, so for $10 you can get yourself 2 cool things. So.
But speaking of the Hangar module,
yeah,
that's coming up in like 3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
So that'll be our first foray in engine looking at this game. So I can't wait. I am eagerly awaiting this. I upgraded my PC hardware just for the Hangar module. So.
Oh my God, it's finally happening! Woo!
Maybe that'll be the key to get some of the naysayers of crowdfunded games to kind of bite the bullet and
wow, they actually made something. Wow.
Yeah, it's something not physically tangible, but tangible in the sense that you can actually see the game in progress and actually move around and play around with it. So,
you may only be able to walk around and get in your ship, but that is a lot for people who have been waiting for this for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, this is about a year that some people have been waiting for, so it's pretty exciting. Now we're going to kind of move on to some of the controversial topics.
What?
I know. So one of the limitations of the engine that they're choosing, and I don't really want to call it a limitation. Let's just call it a perk/feature. A feature of the engine.
I concur.
Is the approximate limit of about 100 players, and that number is is going to go up a little bit, go down a little bit, but let's just call it for the sake of this discussion 100. 100 players in a given area of space. So ships. So recently, the largest battle ever occurred in EVE Online, and we're talking, what was it, thousands of ships?
It was over 4,000 players in one area.
And
crazy.
Now, of course, spreadsheets in space is a lot different, and their ships are a lot less complicated than what we're going to be getting in, the physics calculations aren't there like they're going to be in this game. So we're looking at about 100 ships per area for conflicts. So do you think that this will adjust the way EVE players will play? I mean, obviously it's going to adjust it, but how do you think the adjustment will be for those players coming in from EVE to play this game? They're used to, okay, well, let me get my corporation together, and we're going to go in with 2,000 ships to fight this enemy. How will that how will their mindsets have to change, only being able to bring in 100 for the sake of this argument?
Well, my thought is, with the player limit in a given area being somewhere around 100, I think that the encounters are going to be a little bit more intimate. Now, there's going to be those, oh, hey, I've got 1, and oh, there's 99, and oh, I'm screwed, but that's fine, whatever. But when you're planning patrols and stuff like that with your guild or your squadron, you kind of have to think, okay, there's a limit. We can't just go grab 300 guys and go on a patrol, because when we go into these other waypoints, we're going to be limited to the number of people that we can take with us. So maybe to make sure that we're going to get some sort of encounter with an equal force, we only take 50 guys, or 20 or 30 or whatever, so that when you hit that waypoint, you're ensuring, if you've got your player interaction slider bar all the way up to, yes, we're going to encounter everybody, up to 11. When you hit that waypoint with your wing of 20 people, you're assuming there's assuming there's a lot of traffic at that waypoint, you could potentially encounter 70 other people or NPCs or combination thereof. So if you want to make sure that you're having an interesting equal fight, that might be the best way to do it. Instead of having a big blob, that's what they call it in Eve. You get 200 ships and they all fly in a big sphere. It's called a blob. But if you want to fly more targeted or specific wing combinations, like, okay, you have your Idris and you've got a couple, 300s and a couple, Hornets or whatever, just to kind of mix it up. I think that's going to be what a lot of people do is they fly this combination wing into different waypoints to do patrols and stuff like that, instead of just saying, oh, hey, we're all gonna get in the biggest ship we have and wreak havoc on planets, and it's just not going to work. So my thought is the smaller intimate groups.
What I'm wondering is, how will this affect, now I know that this has probably been answered somewhere, but for the sake of this discussion, let's assume that we're talking about ships, not players. So, okay.
That's a good call. Call.
So, would it be, if it's player limited? I think it would be more fair than if it was ship limited, because what would prevent, us, bringing in, of those 100 ships, let's say 10% of them are Idris corvettes, and
fully loaded, fully crewed, right?
Fully loaded, fully crewed Idris corvettes. Encountering another group of, let's say, 50. There's 50 in our group, but 10 of our group are Idris corvettes. 40 of them are miscellaneous 1-2-seaters. Coming against a group of 50 highly powered, let's say, Hornets, for example, or Cutlasses. Is that enough to take down to take down that many Idris corvettes? Or
I don't know.
I think the more fair way to handle it would be to truly be player limitations, not ship limitations. And I think
if they did that, they would have to include NPCs, because you can hire an NPC crew for your ship.
Right. So I think when we get to the dogfighting module, and as the game progresses a little bit further, I think we'll run into more of these balance type questions. But there will be that people will break it down and will pull out their spreadsheets and say, okay, to have the best fleet, we need to have, an Idris corvette, 3 Connies, all these different things. So I think that this is going to be where the number crunching occurs. And
here's my prediction, though. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be ships. I don't think it's going to be players, because listening to some of the interviews and hearing the reasons why there was going to be 100 ships, or whatever the max number is for the engine, that limit is because of the high fidelity of the ships, like you were saying before. They really want to make the ships high quality. So if you had more than 100 or so ships in a given area, your frame rate would just go blah,
Right.
But when you've got 100 Idrises in a zone, that's still only 100 ships that have to be rendered, even if they're fully crewed. My money's going to go on, it's going to be a ship limitation.
I'm really hoping it's not. I'm really hoping it's player-based. I mean, in an Idris is, while it's one ship, it has multiple factors of more faces that have to be rendered than, let's say, a 300i has. So 100 300i's is going to be far less taxing graphically, or computer power-wise, than 100 Idrises would be. So
that's true.
I'm really hoping, for balance sake, for the sake of lower end hardware, that it's player limit and not ship limit. And I'm just thinking from a game development standpoint, it would not be fun as a player to come into an encounter, your crew, your group of 50 1-2-seaters going against 50 10-player crewed Idrises.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fun. It would not be
fun.
Yeah,
and someone in chat, just asked, will that include ships, being housed inside like the Idris? Because, there's going to be ships inside ships, Inception style, Right. So, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, if it is a ship limitation, does the Idris count as 3 ships? I don't know. There's a lot of clarification needed here.
And I think we're going to see a lot of this clarification come, and I think they're waiting too for the dogfighting module, just to see what people's hardware can handle, the balance.
That is true.
So I think we're going to see it, but I think now might be the time for those long-term players trying to figure out, who want to get a jump, if the limitation is persons, then this is the fleet I need to run with for a given goal. If it is ship limits, this is what I need to run. So I'm already liking the idea of number crunching, and I prefer this style of number crunching versus the, if I get this gem that gives me 20 strength that converts into 10 attack power. This is the type of number crunching that I enjoy, and the scenario planning. It's more realistic to me. It's more military style.
Yeah.
It's more strategic.
It creates a new dynamic though for fleet or squadron commanders. Instead of if it is person based, it's like, okay, well, do we want to bring our Idris in and get 10 people on that bad boy, or do we want to get 10 separate ships? What do we need, or what do we want for our patrol? So it does change planning
Idris,
a lot.
The Idris, may have a 10-person crew, but of that 10-person crew, maybe only 6 are needed to effectively man turrets and do other things. So that frees up 4 other players that could potentially be more effective in an Aurora or a Connie or a 300i or a Cutlass. So
that's true.
This to me is going to be a very, very exciting to see how kind of it all plays out.
Because if you just got an Idris piloted by one guy, it's like, okay, I'm just going to go park over here, then get out of the pilot seat, then go hop in a turret. Oh crap, I'm getting shot at. I need to go. So yeah, it's going to take a lot of planning.
Right. Now we've another kind of controversial topic, and we've discussed it in our clarification of the clarification episode, was lifetime insurance. And
cringe when I hear that.
Yeah, and I know Chris Roberts is cringing every time he hears it as well. But let's take everything off the table. Everything that's been discussed, and everyone who thinks they know, everyone who doesn't know anything about it, and let's just talk about in concept how this would work and how it could be gamed and all of these different topics. And, kind of what we would do in their situation and how we would fix it. Because regardless of what's on paper right now at Cloud Imperium, what they have coded into their databases, we all know that when the game goes live, somebody's going to figure out how to exploit an ABC mechanic.
It's going to be the first thing that some people do.
Right. That's all they're going to do. That is going to be their goal. How can I exploit this? And they're going to, and it's going to change. There's going to be some kind of a change to how it is right now. I can almost guarantee it. I would be willing to put my same psychic powers that I use to estimate when we would hit 10 million. I'm putting on the table and saying how lifetime insurance is right now will not be how lifetime insurance is 3 months after launch of the game.
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
So let's talk about the pros and cons here. The pros of lifetime insurance is basic. So let's just assume, for the sake of this discussion, that lifetime insurance covers how you would get your ship from the dealer. So if I were to go to the BMW dealer and buy a XYZ automobile, and it comes with nav and laser assisted cruise control, if I were to lose my ship my car, I would get the same car back, or of the same model, with nav and laser assisted cruise control. Now, if I got a stock version of this from the BMW dealership that didn't have nav and didn't have laser assisted cruise control, but I added those in later and I destroyed my car, crashed it, all that insurance would cover was just the stock version. So let's assume that that's how LTI works right now.
Correct,
and for the sake of this argument. So, I'm okay with that. I think that is as basic as it gets. I think that's as easy as it gets. And I think that you still have that sense of loss, which is important, and what makes insurance valuable in getting is if you lose that stock ship, it's gone. You get it back. But what could potentially cost more is your cargo, is your upgrades, all of that going away. So you still have that sense of loss even with lifetime insurance. So I think those, and for those people that are kind of scared of lifetime insurance, I think that should be kind of a refreshing thing. Okay, well, they're still going to lose all of their upgrades that they've purchased.
Yeah. So. And I think also, even with the deluxe super awesome edition of each ship, I don't think the weapons and the modules that come with those are anywhere near the best of the game. So,
absolutely not. I totally agree.
even when you upgrade and you suffer the loss of a ship, even if you had the super deluxe awesome version of that ship, you're still going to have to shell out some sort of money to replace some of those new upgraded modules that you found or bought or whatever.
All right. So thinking of our insurance being just this way, the pro of it being, you get your ship back. The con of it being you have that loss, which is a pro and a con, for players with and without. Exploitation. So we've talked about how, and this was brought up even in our closed forums on the guild, where, okay, so I have an Idris with lifetime insurance on it. I literally have one. So what would prevent, let's say, a guildie of mine creating a second account and me losing this ship?
Oh, darn.
Oh no, this person I don't know has taken ownership of my vessel and is now getting it retagged, so there is now a new Idris flying around in space.
That son of a gun.
Yeah, that to me would be that to me, as the owner of the Idris, as a person who wants some form of balance in the universe, and there to be some level of rarity to capital ships. That sucks.
Yeah,
I hate that idea.
Yeah,
it would be awesome for the guild. It would be awesome for our community. But if we do it, then everyone will do it. You know what I mean?
You get an Idris, and you get an Idris.
We all get Idrises.
Well, I think one of the mechanics that they, actually, to tell you the truth, the anti-griefing mechanics of this, I don't really think they've said very much, other than the more this is done, Rob Irving said even the first one I don't think is going to be immediate. I mean, because he said, just think of it this way: if this happens in real life, you still have to wait for the insurance adjuster to get out there and inspect everything and chat with you about it, and then process the paperwork and stuff. So even the first time, I don't think is going to be instant. So you have lifetime insurance. Matter of fact, I think normal insurance will be processed the same way. I really don't think you're going to get your ship back immediately. So losing a ship is, still a pretty impactful thing. I mean, it's, I lost my ship. Now I have to either use my backup or go, fly around with this dude over here and repair his thing while I'm waiting on my paperwork to get processed, or whatever.
Right. So I would think almost certainly that there will be mechanisms in place to. I mean, we already know that you could steal a ship, get it rekeyed, or VIN scratched off and rekeyed in with a new VIN, and you can take ownership of it. But I have a feeling, regardless of timetables, cooldowns, a deductible even, that there will be methods in place to make that extremely difficult. I mean, it will probably be doable. It will probably be gameable. But I would almost lay money that it's the trade-off for doing that will be so great that it will almost not seem worth it. At least that's my hope.
If you're stealing a ship and you need to go get the VIN number scratched off and have a new VIN number added, if they make the cost for that, maybe not the same cost as the actual ship, but make it like 75% of the cost of the ship, where it still costs you money if you want to keep that thing and fly it without the police chasing you everywhere you go. Make that cost a little high,
Put a cooldown on that. That it's going to take us a while to go through. A lot of parts have VINs on them. It's going to take us a while to scratch all those off and rekey it.
That's a good call. Yeah.
So,
I like that.
So there's a couple different ideas, and we're just going to call that hull insurance, not necessarily cargo or upgrade insurance, just for the sake of argument, hull insurance. All right, so this same level of insurance, whether it's lifetime insurance or hull insurance, which is, for the sake of this argument, we're going to call it the same, but one you have forever, one you contract out for a given period of time. So let's now pretend that there's a new tier of insurance that covers more than the hull. This is now going to cover upgrades and or potentially cargo. So nobody has this forever. So there's no lifetime insurance. So all LTI is covering, all hull insurance is covering, is just that basic tier of stuff. How it comes from the dealership, for instance. So would you be in favor of there being a secondary, and let's call it super expensive, 200, 300, 400% of the cost of standard hull insurance, that would cover maybe specific things, specifically upgrades or specifically cargo. I personally think that would be a way to. Right now we're I feel like the argument for lifetime insurance is very quiet for as loud as it has been compared to what we're going to see after November, when there is no option for lifetime insurance anymore except for trading ships that have already been purchased.
Yep.
And, those new players coming in. So I think that this would be maybe the olive branch that, okay, yeah, these people have hull insurance, which you can get relatively cheap, too, so big deal. So they're just saving that small fee. But the real value, the real protection comes from, cargo insurance or upgrade insurance. I think that this could be almost the magic arrow, the panacea. This would fix a lot of the complaints that people would have. Now, it would have to be expensive, but I think that would be the way to do it. What are your thoughts?
I think that, if, let's say I've been playing the game for a couple of years and I have all of my ships kind of set up the way that I want them to, and I've been lucky enough not to die or lose one of my ships. If I had those expensive modules installed, yeah, I mean, if I had the money, I'd probably pay to have my super ultra mega lasers, insured along with my hull, because it took me forever to get those darn things,
Right.
So yeah, I would, even though it's super crazy expensive, for the seasoned player who's probably got a lot of, credits laying around, I don't think it would be a bad idea.
And I think that by making hull insurance relatively inexpensive, where it's just covering the, your vehicle stock, your ship stock, then that being comparable to LTI, it's just LTI hull insurance. With that fee being so negligible, having the cargo or the upgrade insurance packages, whatever those be, I think that would help keep everyone a little bit more in check. Keep everyone a little bit more happy, not necessarily so upset about this LTI thing.
Well,
I love that idea. I love the idea of having the insurance there, because everyone knows it's going to happen to us, probably all of us at one point or another, or the majority of us at one point or another. We're going to fly a ship we can't afford to fly, and we're going to lose it.
Everybody does it. Never fly what you can't afford to lose. Rule number 1.
But we all know everyone, at one point or another, somebody's going to break that rule.
Yep, absolutely.
Unintentionally, it might just, I'm just going to, park in this space dock instead of this one. Holy shit, where did he come from? Holy shit, where did he come from?
Yep.
And it's game
Dang
over.
it, where's my player experience slider bar or whatever? Put it down to 1, quick.
Yeah.
No, this is actually something I was thinking about the other day, because, I plan on being a trader and a quadruple billionaire or whatever, whatever. But when I let's say I'm doing a cargo mission, okay, we're talking about insurance. If I pick up a mission that says, hey, we need you to take these boysenberries from this planet to this planet,
take them to Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yes, I have to deliver the boysenberries to Freddie Prinze Jr.'s mansion on planet Terra. He's having a big party and he loves boysenberry cakes. Let's say I have to pay not a deposit. What's it called? When you're buying, when you're transporting cargo and you have to pay not an escrow, but that fee, just in case you fail or something, But I also paying like a cargo insurance thing, like if I'm going to be transporting something really expensive, I have the option at the time that I accept the mission to, pay for like cargo insurance for this mission, so that if I accept that mission and I'm taking it out there and I lose the cargo, I get reimbursed or something.
Yeah, you pay
or
that security deposit or something.
Yeah, like if I'm moving my own stuff and I want to pay, a one-time cargo fee or cargo insurance fee. But I think some of those missions should have that. Like if you're doing a cargo move, there should be that cover charge or whatever that you have to pay to the person giving you the mission, in case you get out there and just I dropped my cargo, and this other ship pulls in and picks up the stuff and goes and sells it somewhere. There should be that deposit that you have to pay. But also adding, for the shipment, would you like to add insurance? Yes, that would be that'd be kind of cool too, you know. So if you lose that, you're not out that deposit money. You kind of break even, you know, because you failed or whatever, you know.
Right. I guess something else to consider too, you know, kind of tiering the insurance, which I really think personally will probably be how this will all come into fruition. Will be a tiered insurance plan. Imagine as you increase that slider of your player encounter, each one of those ticks having an increase in insurance cost. So if you want to fly in relatively safe space with low, you know, with a low player interaction bar, your insurance might be less expensive than if you're going to go into creepy, scary, no UEE protection space, and you're going to, you know, put it to 11, maybe make that a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
And, you know,
well, they also did say that there are systems in the game where insurance is null. Like, hey, you go here, we ain't covering you, buddy. You gotta, you know, you're on your own.
Yeah. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah. You fly in this system, your insurance, other than LTI, is null and void while you're there. So.
Yeah. I'm thinking too. You know, there are still other suggestions, and a lot of these, you know, have been bouncing around the community on how to handle it. We have to protect lifetime insurance for those of us that have it. I mean, I really think that it was a perk. It was something that we all worked for, you know, who've been long-term pledgers. So to completely invalidate it, to appease new players, I think is the wrong way to go with it. So they have to do something, you know, they have to keep it there. But let's pretend, you know, going forward that, you know, it's become such a headache that they've got to do something. Is there a solution that would still protect the integrity of LTI, but allow them to at the same time eliminate LTI? And I think the best way to do that is to make better, stronger ships that you can't get LTI on. So, you know, they make the Idris Corvette, you know, D version, which is D for deluxe, which is, you know, 50% stronger.
Or D for, like, super defense or whatever.
Yeah, you know, whatever. You know, 50% better and whatever assigned capacity it's taking, then why would you fly your Idris P anymore instead of the Idris D? You know, even though my P has LTI, if I ever go against an Idris D, I'm going to lose because it's 50% stronger, or, you know, its stats are better. So, but that still would protect the sanctity of LTI and would at the same time invalidate it. And I think that may be the nuclear option, if you will, to solve.
Now, are you talking about doing that for like all ships? Like you could have an Aurora super awesome, you know, defense edition or whatever,
or you know, whatever, an entire new line of ships. You know, instead of having the Idris Corvette, you could have the Poseidon Corvette, which is very similar in shape and feel to the Idris, but is a completely different ship that's better in all regards to the Idris. That is impossible to get LTI on, you know, in any form, anything remotely similar to LTI. So you can still have your Idris, you know, P or whatever, your Idris with LTI, but you probably, to be effective, would want to fly the Poseidon class carrier.
So kind of like a tier 2 version of each ship.
A tier 2 ship, or a entirely separate tier, but at base level is substantially stronger than its sister ship.
And substantially more expensive.
Maybe. Not necessarily. If we're trying to invalidate LTI.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so you want to make them pretty close to the same price, if not the same price, but, you know, one you always get back, one you don't. Okay, I see that.
Yeah, and I think that's a way that they could invalidate LTI, but still it wouldn't screw you because you still have your ship and it still has LTI. It's just not the best at doing what it used to do because there's something better than it. So to me, I think we've covered a lot of different scenarios on how LTI could work, how it could be exploited, and how it can be saved. And I don't think any of these scenarios will probably come into fruition, but it, you know, as we discussed it. But to some extent, I think we'll see variants of these at live. You know, one of the things that we discussed in the clarification episode was kamikaze, and I think they've pretty much said that, you know, if people choose to kamikaze, they can, and if they have LTI, their ship will be replaced. But they have mentioned, you know, the waiting period. certain regions of space, and that not being valid. So that's good to hear.
I think though that like the combat though, I mean, it's going to happen, but I really think that
and it's a
once people
tactic.
start,
I mean, kamikazing is a legitimate tactic. It's not a coward's bullshit way of doing it. Sometimes when your ship is almost destroyed, you set that.
You gotta pull a Captain
ship.
Kirk and
ram. You set it to ram, and you hop in your escape pod. I mean, it's a legitimate, no bullshit tactic. But that's different than, Japanese World War II kamikaze pilots that just crash their ships to crash their ships.
To kill like one or two guys or whatever. Yeah. Well, I think that I think what we're going to see is a lot of people being very careful with their assets, though. I mean, sure, there's going to be space battles. There's going to be huge, combat. There's going to be people dying and losing their ships every day. But I think once people start experiencing that loss, people are going to think twice about what they do with their stuff and how they do things. But there's always going to be, Mr. Idiot guy who doesn't care and just flies around and I lost another ship, but then he dies and has a new character and keeps going, whatever. But for those people who really want to kind of get into the game and establish their character and they don't want to die and lose that actual character, I think people are going to be very careful with their stuff. And if they know something bad's happening over in this system, I'm pretty sure people are going to try to avoid that kind of stuff, to keep their ships alive. So having that LTI is nice. Hopefully we won't have to use it very often, but having that option of, like you're saying, that better ship that, might be able to make it through that dangerous system, but doesn't have insurance or doesn't come with insurance, I should say, might be a, better option to balance that out. I understand. I see it. But I think people are going to be really careful with their stuff.
I mean, and I hope so. And, kind of going back to fleet formations and LTI, the reason I picked both of these topics is I think they kind of go hand in hand to some extent. I mean, if you're kind of going that military route, and I know the question was asked, will you be able to hire private security for, traders? Will they be able to hire them? Absolutely, you'll be able to hire. There will be players and I believe NPC options for you to hire security for your missions, and that's
those mercenaries,
that you want to do. But I think by limiting the number of players that can be in a zone, whether it's a artificial limit or an engine limit, I think in some cases will help prevent that feeling that that some of us have experienced in EVE, where you're kind of in a small group of players, you're not going to be able to do anything because this guild has thousands and thousands of people and thousands of ships waiting for you on the other side. So I'm totally okay with this engine imposed limit of the number of players and or ships that can be in a region, because that will enable the smaller communities to compete. And by having, the potential variance to insurance and hull insurance, and everybody to some extent experiencing loss, and if you die, with the limited lifespan or the limited number of, rebirths, respawns, recloning, body repairs that you can have before you have permadeath, I think this is all going to kind of tie in together very nicely, and it's going to take some tweaks. It'll probably be several months after launch before they get it hammered to where it's just right, but I think it's going to alleviate a lot of those fears that people have, and it's nice to know that there are options. So
well, someone in chat just said that he kind of hopes that there's going to be missions that offer huge rewards but make people fly through those areas of space that have the blackout for insurance. So that would be one of those reasons to have a beefier version of a ship. Hey, I need to get from point A to point B, but my LTI Starfarer, it's lacking some armor plates. So maybe having a more beefy version of that ship, a military transport, per se or whatever, to fly through that area for that specific mission and make those big bucks. That be a good reason to have something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our discussion topics. Before we go, I want to mention a couple things. As always, we are available on YouTube. So just go to, search Beacon147 on YouTube if you haven't subscribed to us already through the Chosen community. I also want to reiterate the fact that we are now recording these episodes live. And the easiest way to find out when and how we're going to be recording is to follow us on Twitter. So we're at Beacon147, and that's Beacon147 without a space. We're also available on iTunes, both in audio, video, standard definition, and high definition. Again, search Beacon147. We will post this the day after in podcast format. We like to get a little bit of time on YouTube first, but it'll be available in podcast format about the next day. We also post on the RSI forums with new episodes and Reddit. So if you want to get your comments to us, you can get them there, or you can email us. Gradius, what's our email address?
Beacon147 at thechosenguild.net.
Yep, that's all I had. Do you have anything else you need to add or say?
No, I think we're good.
All right, guys. Well, we will catch you in a couple weeks with our next episode. We might do some mini episodes between now and then, so keep your subscriptions going and keep refreshing. So we'll talk to you later, guys.
All right.
This is
Adios.
Apocalypse / Thomas signing out.
See you later.